If you're someone who's even remotely into K-pop, there's no doubt that you've heard of the girl group TWICE. Unarguably one of the most iconic girl groups of the third generation, and maybe even the most iconic, having debuted in 2015, which means their 7-year contract would have expired this year. TWICE had both me and millions of other people worldwide on the edge of their seats, waiting to see whether or not they'd continue as a group after the quote-unquote 7-year curse. We've seen the curse take out groups such as NU'EST, G-Friend, and I.O.I, and considering JYP Entertainment has let almost all of their iconic groups such as Wonder Girls, GOT7, and Miss A leave the company in the past, I think a lot of us were very surprised when it turned out that all 9 members of TWICE renewed their contracts with JYP this year. With a new mini album from the group already set to be released on August 26th, I think a lot of us are already asking what does this contract renewal mean for TWICE and its members in the future when it comes to their careers. Today I'm going to share my own thoughts and predictions as to what's going to happen with TWICE within the next few years, and explain why I think these things are going to happen. I brainstormed these for a pretty long time, and I came up with 7 predictions that I think realistically could come true in the future, and we'll go one by one and talk about each individually. So feel free to follow along and leave your own thoughts on my predictions in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and without further ado, let's get into prediction number 1. Although it doesn't explicitly say anywhere how long the contract extension will last, I think it's most likely that it's gonna last around 3 years. A majority of groups who re-sign with their company don't re-sign for a whole nother 7 years, and taking a look at the only other JYP group that has renewed their contracts in the past, 2PM, who renewed in 2015, only did so until 2018. Some of the members decided to renew their contracts again, and 2PM is still active to this day. Although he's still in the group, in 2018, member Taekyeon actually left JYP after their contract renewals expired, and although he's still in 2PM, he's actually in a company called 51K. And since the first contract renewal of 2PM lasted 3 years, I think it's pretty safe to say that the same thing goes for TWICE. If this is true, it's still too early to predict what the members will do when those contract renewals expire, so we'll all just have to wait until 2025 to see what they do then. For my second prediction, I thought it would make sense to focus on what's going to happen in the near future, and I think that for the mini album next month, they're going to do a retro concept similar to that of the VIVIZ. As of right now, July 12th, when I'm recording this, we only have one teaser image to go off of. So from this pink switch on this yellow wall that we have here, I'm definitely getting a similar vibe to the teaser images that we got for the VIVIZ that were basically prom invitations. It looks like it's going to be a brighter concept, but still more on the mature side, where it's not necessarily going to sound cutesy, more so just happy. Of course, I can't go too in-depth about this because we only have one image to go off of, so these are just my preliminary thoughts. As we get more teasers, I might end up being completely wrong, we'll see. So next, I'm going to be talking about what I think TWICE's comeback schedules are going to look like for the next few years. One of the most commonly known things about TWICE is how often they used to have comebacks. Some years, if you include Japanese releases, they would literally have upwards of 6 or even 7 comebacks in 1 year, but I think that after they renewed their contracts, we probably won't be seeing them quite as often. I doubt that 8 years into their career, the members are going to want to be releasing a new single every other month, and instead, as a full group, I see them having 2 Korean releases every year and maybe 1 Japanese. We probably won't be getting 2 Korean mini albums in 2022, I think they'll probably stick with just the 1 this year, but from 2023 on, I think 2 mini albums or 1 full album would create a good balance of letting the members enjoy their own personal lives, pursue solo careers, and also have their group activities. I think it is possible that they might only do 1 Korean release per year, but if that did happen, I would assume that they would also couple that with something such as a world tour in the same year as well. Since that's what they did this year, I doubt they'd go on another world tour again next year, so maybe in 2024 we'd see TWICE going on tour again, but since tours take a lot of time and a lot more energy, maybe even more energy than a comeback, I'm pretty sure that at the very least in 2023 they won't be doing another world tour, and will instead stick to just having a couple comebacks. I'm hoping that TWICE don't continue to get kind of overworked. Like seriously, any group having 6 releases in 1 year is just way too much. And literally all that I want is that with this contract renewals, the members will be able to relax a bit. Alright, so moving on to the next prediction, I mentioned this a little bit in my last one. Considering Nayeon just had her solo debut, no matter in what form, I think it's basically guaranteed that all of the other members are going to pursue their solo careers as well. I could absolutely see JYP giving Jihyo a solo album, and maybe even Sana as well. but what I would really love to see would be some Twice subunits coming out and releasing official music. We saw a little bit of that with the B-sides in the Scientist album, but instead of just sticking to B-sides, I would love to see these subunits actually have a title track that they promote on music shows and stuff. I would love to see the return of Dubchang, which is Dahyun and Chaeyoung, but the combination of Nayeon, Momo, and Chaeyoung is also super powerful, but I would just love to have any of these subunits have an official release. I hope the members get a little bit more creative freedom, and whether it's solo or subunit projects, maybe we could even see some of the members start to compose their own songs. I don't know if they have any experience in that, but it would be awesome to see. I know the members have written lyrics for Twice's releases in the past, but I would love to see what they could do in terms of composing and arranging. I'm also glad that Twice has such a huge fan base because, to be honest, I don't see JYP promoting their individual projects the best. I know Nayeon's was pretty well promoted, but that's also because she's Nayeon, she's like the face of the group, which means that even if they do get solo music, I'm not sure if JYP would give the same treatment to the less popular members. Personally, the member that I would be most excited to see have a subunit or solo release would be Momo. I think she could release some really fun badass music, but there's also just so many different genres that she could try out. But let me know which Twice member you want to have a solo debut the most. So my next prediction is that I think we might see some of the members trying to open individual YouTube accounts. I feel like some of the members, while they might want to do individual activities, they might not all want to release individual music, so I could totally see some of them trying to create their own variety content on their own. To be honest, I'm not super well educated on Twice to the point where I know what all of their individual hobbies are, but I could totally see some of them creating vlogs of whatever things that they like to do. My bias is Jonghyun, and I do know that she's a pretty big animal lover, so I could totally see her vlogging something about like visiting a dog shelter or something like that. But as I said before, I'm not too well versed on most of the members, so I don't know what exactly they'd do. I know recently they all opened up their own individual Instagram accounts, so I think they have a little bit more SNS freedom as of late. So I think it would be super cool to see some of the members collaborating with other Korean YouTubers. Now that it seems like all of them are a little bit less restricted by the company, it seems like they can do a little bit of whatever they want, and since there's no doubt that all of them watch YouTube, I could totally see someone like Nayeon personally reaching out to one of her favorite content creators and asking to be on their channel. Of course, if any of the members want to create YouTube content, I guess they could still just post it on the Twice YouTube channel, but I feel like the girls would want to create their own audience. So I hope they open up some individual ones. My final prediction for this video is that I think at least one of the members is gonna get their own radio show. I'm basing this mostly off the fact that Wendy of Red Velvet, who's another one of the top 3rd-gen girl groups, also has her own radio show, and I could absolutely see someone like Chewy, Dahyun, or Jihyo having their own as well. Or honestly just any of them. One reason that I want to see this is that there's no doubt that the Twice members have made so many different friends in the entertainment industry, and hosting a radio show would be a great way for any of the members to literally just invite whoever they feel like onto it, which would be a cool way for us as fans to see who they know. I feel like I'm always surprised when I see two members from different idol groups hanging out, and a radio show would be a great way to see interactions like that more often. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. And that concludes this video. What'd you all think of what I had to say in my predictions? Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like or even subscribing, and without further ado, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.